Hi there, it's Earl Hickey here with another prediction for you. I've been away for a few weeks, but hopefully going to be getting back into doing a lot more predictions, getting them out a lot more frequently. So anyway, today I'm going to be having a look at Margarito versus Pacquiao, a fight which is coming up on November the 13th. It's at, I believe, 151-pound catchweight, and it's going to be for the vacant WBC light middleweight title. This is a fight that has a lot of controversy around it. Quite a few people aren't happy that the fight's taking place. Obviously, the main reason for that being that about a couple of years ago now, Margarito was caught with a substance not unlike plaster of Paris on his hand wraps just before he was due to fight Shane Mosley. There's been a lot of talk, a lot of discussion about this. Margarito claims that he's a sort of an innocent party in it. He didn't know anything about it. A lot of people say he did know. A lot of people say that he's had a year's ban. He's sort of served his time, and you've got yet more people saying that he should be banned for life. Well, as far as I can see, the fight's happening, and I don't think that there's a whole lot of point in us lingering over the shoulds and should nots of it. I think we should just look at the fight. I think it's a good fight for fans. You can see the reasons why this fight's been made. First and foremost, both are top ranked fighters, so it was an easy fight to organise. It's going to be put on in Cowboys Stadium in Dallas. Probably going to get around 90,000 people in there. It's going to be a huge fight in Mexico, of course. Antonio Margarito being Mexican and fighting the Mexicutioner. A lot of people are going to be hoping for a bit of revenge down in Mexico way, I'd imagine. And it's going to be a big money fight. It'll do well on pay-per-view, I feel. A bit of controversy always helps sell. So as far as the fight being made, it is logical. I mean, Pacquiao's fought a lot of the best guys around at the moment. Margarito's a big name, brings a lot of TV revenue in, things like that. It's an interesting fight, so I can see why it's been made. Might not be the one I particularly wanted. Everyone wants to see Pacquiao Mayweather, but that's not happening. So I think, from my perspective at least, I think we should just try and enjoy what we're being given here. So onto the fighters themselves. Antonio Margarito. He's the challenger, obviously. Well, it's for a vacant title, but you could basically say he's the challenger to Pacquiao's sort of supremacy in and around those weight divisions at the moment. There's a lot of question marks for me around Antonio Margarito. He did have a year off, long layoff after the hand wrap controversy. Came back, had one fight against sort of a journeyman level opponent. Didn't look brilliant. I mean, didn't look terrible either, but certainly he didn't look like the Margarito from back in the days when he was fighting Miguel Cotto, or the mid part of the Paul Williams fight, that kind of guy. He's going to need to be that guy if he wants to beat Manny Pacquiao. Whether or not he's still got that in him, it's a question. We don't know. All we can go off is recent form, and as far as recent form goes, he hasn't looked that brilliant. If we look at some of the things he does have going for him, have a look at the picture that's in the video window. You can see the size difference. He has got a big size advantage. Pacquiao has gotten used to fighting bigger opponents, but this is going to be the biggest guy he's fought. This isn't 147-pound Oscar De La Hoya. It's 151-pound Antonio Margarito. I think there's a big difference there. So he does have his size to his advantage. Also, if he is anything like the Margarito of old, he does have a sort of a high punch output, which is something that Pacquiao, particularly in the Clottey fight, didn't have to deal with. Didn't really have to deal with it against Oscar, who wasn't throwing too much. Miguel Cotto, he sort of stopped throwing later in the fight, which I don't see Margarito doing. So he does have a good high punch output. Creates a lot for you to think about. You don't have breathing time with Margarito. He's pressuring and he's relentless. Also, very good chin. Was exposed a little bit in the Shane Mosley fight, but you show me anyone who could take as many punches as Tony did off of Mosley and still be standing at the end of it. I really don't think there's many. Good power too, you know, in both hands. He's got that kind of heavy power. It might not look as though he's snapping your head back and hitting you with really hard brick punches, but you look at the guy's face after he's taken a few of Margarito's punches and you can definitely tell he's been hurt. If you look at Pacquiao's face after the Joshua Clottey fight, where he was hit by a lighter puncher, he was taking damage. So for Pacquiao, he's got to avoid taking too many shots off Margarito, because he definitely has telling power, and I think he's got the power to hurt Pacquiao if he can land, you know, regularly enough. So that's the pros for Antonio Margarito. If we move on to Manny Pacquiao, you know, he's a known entity. He is the biggest star in boxing right now. His last few fights have all been against very good fighters. I don't really count the Oscar De La Hoya fight. I don't think it's something that Pacquiao needs to count on his resume. You know, it's a brilliant resume. That one there, bit of a freak show fight, you know, cross-generational thing. I tend to look at it as an exhibition more than anything. But after that, you know, he fought a very good 140-pound champion, Ricky Hatton. Absolutely demolished him, made him look, you know, absolutely terrible. Miguel Cotto, great fighter, you know, really tough guy, good skills, good overall fighter. People said he was finished, you know, then he moves up a weight division and beats Yuri Foreman for a vacant title, so he's definitely shown he had something left. And Joshua Clottey, well, you know, I mean, Joshua Clottey didn't even get out of the starting blocks really in that fight. He was penned in and basically just fought to survive for the entire fight. So Pacquiao basically did everything he could with a fire that was covering up and trying not to get knocked out. You know, it was Pac versus the heavy bag, but you know, a decent 12 rounds for Pacquiao, I would say. He has a speed advantage over Margarito. You know, I mean, who doesn't he have the speed advantage over? But Margarito does have kind of slow hand speed, sort of kind of wide punches. He's going to find it very difficult to pin Pacquiao down, which is what he needs to do. You know, he needs to get him in a corner or something like that. But Pacquiao's constantly moving, and he's very good at pivoting away from the ropes when his back touches the ropes and getting out of the corners. You know, he's very hard to pin down. Also for Pacquiao, very good power. I mean, amazing power really for this guy that once was a really small, you know, 106 pounder, I believe he started off at. You know, he's up at 147, and he's got big power. You know, he can hurt these big guys definitely. Look at Cotto. I mean, Hatton, okay, that was at 140, but look at that. Joshua Clottey, another big guy, was you know, really intimidated by Pacquiao's power. Barely came out of his shell the whole fight. So the guy, he can do damage. You know, Margarito does have a very good chin, but you know, Pacquiao, the speed, the angles, the fact that you don't see the punches coming, I can definitely see him hurting Margarito. It's not going to be the sort of one-punch knockout type of thing, but the punches really do add up, and you know, he lands a lot of them. Better form, you know, he's in much better form. Fought the much better fighters lately. Well, you know, Margarito hasn't fought anyone for quite a while, you know, so he's out of form. Pacquiao's in form. Having a look at all of this, a lot of it really depends on which version of Antonio Margarito shows up come fight night. You know, if it's the old Margarito from, you know, as I say, who beat Miguel Cotto, a bigger version, a 151-pound version of that fighter, this is a very interesting fight if that guy turns up. You know, and it's a difficult one to predict, I'd say as well. But the problem is, I don't think that guy is showing up. I think, you know, the guy that's going to show up is a guy coming off of a very long layoff, who has had no decent opposition, you know, to prepare for this fight. I just don't think he's going to be ready. You can't go from having a year off fighting a journeyman to going in with a guy like Manny Pacquiao. It's just not. It's not a good idea, basically. as I say, I think the speed and the angles are going to cause Margarito huge problems. I really like Margarito, you know, a lot of people don't. I enjoy watching him fight. I think he's a character. Don't agree necessarily with what he's accused of having been done, but you know, I like the guy, and I wish him luck. But I can really only see the fight going one of two ways, and that's either late on in the fight, Margarito is either pulled out by his corner, or the referee, you know, shows a bit of mercy. I think he'll be taking too many punches, you know, and the referee is going to want to step in. Either that, or, you know, if he does really well and he gets a decent start, and you know, Pacquiao doesn't start getting to him till late, maybe he'll lose a decision. It's possible. The only way I could see Margarito winning this fight would be, you know, if he really was on fire and he really was his old self, and he could just pin Pacquiao down, get him into a corner, and unload punches. Because, as I say, if you look at the damage Joshua Clottey did with, you know, kind of nothing punches really, a barrage of Margarito shots in the corner would be quite damaging, and you could see a stoppage, especially with the size difference. You know, Pacquiao might look like he's in trouble, more trouble than he is, because it's such a huge guy pounding on him. But as I say, I just don't think Margarito's at the point right now where he's going to have that. I think he's going to be frustrated. He's not going to be able to cut off the ring, and I see Pacquiao either stopping him late or Pacquiao winning a decision, a quite wide decision. I think it'll be an interesting fight for the first couple of rounds, but after that, you know, I just don't see where Margarito's going to do any better than Miguel Cotto, who, you know, was in form, okay, coming off a pretty mediocre win over Clottey, but at least he'd been out there, he'd been in training, you know, and he came in and sort of gave it his best. I just don't see how this out of sorts version of Margarito is going to offer more than that. You know, a good version of Margarito, as I say, it's a totally different thing. But again, I just don't see that guy showing up. So